Once upon a time, there was a feast in the sky for all the birds. They were overjoyed and started getting ready for the big day. Using uli, they created elaborate designs on their bodies that were painted with red camwood. The tortoise quickly figured out what it all meant when he saw all these preparations. He was very smart and always knew what was going on in the world of the animals. His throat started to ache at the mere mention of the celestial feast. Things were bad back then. There was famine in the land and Tortoise hadn't had a good meal in 2 months. His body moved around like a dry stick inside an empty shell. So he started to think about how he could get to the sky. Even though the tortoise didn't have wings, Tortoise approached the birds and asked that they let him join them. Upon hearing him, the birds remarked, "We know you too well. You are incredibly crafty and lacking in gratitude. You will start your trouble right away if we let you come with us." "You do not know me," said Tortoise. "I'm a changed man. I have learned that a man who makes trouble for others is also making it for himself." Tortoise had a sweet mouth, and soon all the birds agreed that he had changed. They all gave him a feather, which he used to make 2 wings. Eventually, the big day arrived, and Tortoise arrived at the meeting spot first. The birds got together and took off as a group. Tortoise was very happy and talkative as he flew with the birds. Because he was such a good speaker, he was quickly picked to speak for the group. "There is one crucial detail that we must not overlook," he remarked as they soared through the sky. "When people are asked to a big feast like this, they change their names to fit the event. This is an old tradition that our hosts will expect us to follow." The birds were in the dark about this practice, but they were aware that Tortoise, for all his flaws, was a man of great travel and understanding of many cultures. So they agreed and changed their names. Tortoise took one too after they were all done. He was going to be known as All of You. Their hosts were overjoyed to see the group finally make it to the skies. Standing up in his multicolored plumage, the tortoise expressed his gratitude for the invitation. All the birds were happy because his speech was so eloquent. The birds acquiesced to everything he said, shaking their heads accordingly. Because he stood out from the crowd, his host naturally assumed he was the king of the birds. After presenting and eating kola nuts, the girls served the most mouth-watering delicacies the tortoise had never imagined possible. They also prepared hot soup and brought it in the same pot it was made in. The soup smelled amazing and made everyone hungry. The soup had lots of meat and fish in it. Tortoise sniffed loudly, smelling the delicious food. There was pounded yam pottage cooked with palm oil and fresh fish. They also had pots of palm wine. When all the food was ready, one of them from the sky tasted a bit from each pot. Then he invited the birds to start eating. But something happened before they could begin. "For whom have you prepared this feast?" the tortoise demanded, springing to his feet. "For all of you," the man replied. Tortoise turned to the birds and said, "You remember that my name is All of You. The custom here is to serve the spokesman first and the others later. They will serve you when I have eaten." The birds quacked in anger. As the tortoise started eating, the people from the sky assumed it was customary for their king to have all the food. Tortoise enjoyed the best part of the food and drank 2 pots of palm wine until he was full, his body swelling within his shell. The birds gathered around to eat what little remained and pecked at the bones scattered on the floor by Tortoise. Some of them were so upset that they decided to fly home hungry. Before leaving, each bird took back the feather they had lent to Tortoise. So there he stood in his hard shell full of food and wine, but without wings to fly home. He asked the birds to deliver a message to his wife, but they all refused. In the end, Parrot, who had been angrier than the rest, suddenly had a change of heart and agreed to deliver the message. Please, have my wife gather all the soft things in my house and cover the compound with them so that I can jump down with minimal harm, Tortoise requested. Parrot promised to deliver the message and flew away. However, when he arrived at Tortoise's house, he instructed Tortoise's wife to bring out all the hard things. And so she fetched her husband's shoes, machetes, spears, guns, and even his cannon. Tortoise looked down from the sky and saw his wife taking things out of the house, but he couldn't see what they were because he was too far away. When everything seemed set, Tortoise let himself go. He fell and fell. He tumbled down like he would never stop. Then with a crash like his cannon, he landed in the compound. His shells shattered in pieces. Fortunately, there was a skilled medicine man nearby. Tortoise's wife summoned him. He collected all the fragments of the shell and carefully pieced them together. And that is why to this day, the tortoise shells are cracked and uneven. Tortoise also learned a bitter lesson, that it is better to be honest and considerate, for deceit can bring unexpected troubles. Bye.